Hello everybody, I want to talk to you in this video about the notion and the concept of the Christian concept of creation ex nihilo. In other words, creation out of nothing, of God creating the universe out of nothing, ex nihilo. Ex nihilo is a Latin term meaning from nothing. That's creatio ex nihilo. Now, Christian theologians, doctors of divinity, doctors of theology, Christian defenders, pastors, and whatnot argue, think, and hold that, and take it for granted that God created everything out of nothing. Here we have a Christian website that says that in the beginning, God, based on Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now, before I continue, I'd like to raise the issue of what is meant by heavens. Why is it that in certain translations heavens is in plural, and in certain translations, and I'm talking about the English versions, I'm pretty sure that in other language, various translations in other languages, it's also translated in certain versions in singular, in certain in plural, and I'm pretty sure the translators and their theologians, they don't know what is meant by heavens, what the definition of heavens and heaven is, and is there any difference between heavens in plural and heaven in singular, and what is it if there is such? Is it the visible blue sky that we see on a sunny day, during day, in daylight? Is it the visible dark sky that is cloudless when we see in the evening, or during the night when we see the stars and the moon? That is to say, does it mean that here in this verse, in the beginning God created, it is meant just the solar system, or just the earth with the visible sky, visible from the earth? There was nobody to see that because man was created after that. Or is it the solar system? Is it the galaxy? Or is it the whole universe? Or is it a cosmos in general with all the possible and probable metaverses? It's very unclear. And the Bible explicitly says that God is not the author of confusion. But here it is very confusing. God is not the author of contradiction, but here it's very contradicting. God is not the author of lack of clarity or unclarity, but of clarity. But here it is unclear. I argue that it is very unclear, very confusing, and very contradicting. And it also means that this being, if it exists, is totally, absolutely, and completely incapable of conveying a simple message to its allegedly intelligent creation. They further continue to argue that prior to that moment there was nothing. To which moment? To in the beginning. Now, I am not sure if these Christians and theologians and pastors and whoever writes these articles think before they write that. Because if prior to that moment there was nothing, then it logically follows that God is nothing. That's what they say. Prior to that moment. Which moment? Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, there was nothing. Therefore, it logically follows that God is nothing. My question is, leaving that contradiction and folly, I would say, aside, my question is, how exactly did God make allegedly everything out of nothing if, according to the Christian biblical definitions of the being, the personality called God, this personality or being is infinite, endless, and eternal? If this, as another Christian site tells us, that God, it tells us what Genesis 1:1, that God is the ultimate being, whatever that means. God is the ultimate being. He is everywhere in his fullness continually, they say. He is not limited by spatial considerations. He exists independently of matter and sequence of time. Now, the word and the term and the phrase exists presupposes time, period. I will repeat, the word and the phrase and the expression exists presupposes time, period. And again, I want to repeat because this is important. He's a pastor and a doctor of theology, whatever. He is everywhere. He, who, God, is everywhere in his fullness continually, and he was. Nor is he locked in the present anyway. Now, if he was and is everywhere in his fullness, I want to stress here and I want to emphasize fullness, continually, that is eternally and everywhere, and he's endless and eternal and infinite, then it logically follows that he had an endless and infinite everything to make the universe from. And then it logically follows that he, she, or it did not and could not, it's logically, it's impossible, it's contradicting. He could not have created, this is allegedly, according to them, the universe and everything that exists out of nothing. Because then arise a couple of issues. First one is that God equals nothing. God is nothing. Secondly, I don't think we have an example of nothing. Thirdly, the human brain and human mind cannot imagine the infinity, the concept of infinity, of endlessness. And the human brain and human mind cannot imagine what is nothing. And we don't have example of nothing. Thirdly, if God is endless and infinite, and as these theologians argue, he was everywhere in his fullness continually, and he is and continues to be, then this is a logical fallacy and a violation of the laws of logic that he allegedly created, like a magician. I mean, this is the definition of magic. He's a magician. He speaks and he creates everything out of nothing. It's not out of nothing because, like I said, if he is everything and he's endless and he fulfills and he's all in all, we're told in Colossians 3:11. And then same thing or similar in 1 Corinthians 15:24-28. He had all to create the universe from, and not nothing. And it's impossible. It's logically impossible. and it's a contradictory statement, and it's irreconcilable, inexplainable. It cannot be true that he created the universe ex nihilo, that is out of nothing. I hope you will not take my words for granted, but will try to do some research, read the Bible verses. If you're in a mode of blind faith, then I encourage you to disengage that mode and engage the mode of critical thinking, skeptical thinking. Employ your analytical thinking and reasoning capacities, and try to analyze and mentally digest what you've been told and what you've been fed, and not try to just listen to what your pastor says or what you read and other theologians say and to just take it for granted. But try to think for yourself. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And I will appreciate your comments and opinions in the section below. And until the next time, may God abundantly bless you. Bye.